You know, along the timeless flow of the Chao Phraya River, right in the heart of Pathum Thani, there's a story. It's a story that isn't etched in stone, but in the very soul of the people there. It's a chronicle of this incredibly profound faith, and it all centers on one legendary monk, whose name still echoes with so much power and reverence, Luang Pho Hram of Wat Krang.
This is so much more than just a saying. It's a sacred promise, this whisper of invincibility that's been passed down through generations. This is the absolute core belief attached to the amulets of Luang Pho Hram. It's a declaration that if you can hold a piece of his sanctity, you'll be shielded from life's most brutal, violent fates.
And believe me, this faith has a very tangible echo in our modern world. Today, just one single first-generation coin amulet, a small piece of metal blessed by his hand, can fetch a price of over 1 million baht. That is a staggering amount of money, and it reflects an even greater spiritual wealth. So who was this man? Well, in Thai folklore, Khun Pen is this legendary warrior. He's charming, he's supernaturally powerful. So to call Luang Pho Hram the Khun Pen of Pathum Thani, that's comparing him to this mythic figure. It's a title of immense respect for his power and his influence. So let's dive in and uncover the story behind this legend.
To really understand the legend, we have to journey back in time, right to the riverbanks where it all started. We're going to trace the current back to the birth of a master, a figure who was truly destined for greatness.
So, born way back in 1872, the boy named Hram just seemed destined for a spiritual path. By the time he was 17, he was already a novice at Wat Krang. At 20, he was fully ordained, becoming the monk Kesaro. And under his master, he just dove deep into the sacred arts and meditation, forging the kind of discipline that would later become the very bedrock of his power.
And you have to understand, Luang Pho Hram's journey unfolded on truly hallowed ground. Wat Krang wasn't just any temple. This was an ancient spiritual center long before his time, founded in the twilight years of the great Ayutthaya kingdom. It was originally known as the Monastery of the Star Forest, and its very architecture is a testament to history, this beautiful fusion of Thai and Mon artistry.
And it's here that we find the heart of the legend. This is where the stories of his compassion and his supernatural abilities began to ripple out from the temple, becoming these immortal tales carried on the river's current.
Just picture this for a second. A lone monk, deep in meditation on a quiet night, and suddenly he sees a vision. It's this awesome, almost primal image, an elderly, serene monk gliding across the dark water, not in a boat, but on the back of a massive crocodile, a true creature of the river.
And then the figure in the vision speaks. The voice is calm, clear, direct. "My name is Hram. I am at Wat Krang." For the meditating monk who sought him out the next day and actually found him, this was it. This was undeniable proof. Luang Pho Hram was no ordinary abbot. He was a master of profound spiritual attainment, an arahant with powers that could command even the wild beasts of the river. But his power was never for personal glory. It was a force for righteousness. The legend tells of 3 infamous bandit brothers, feared all throughout the region. They were basically untouchable, protected by a single amulet from Luang Pho Hram that they had actually cut into 3 pieces. But using its sacred power for evil, well, that could not go unanswered. The master summoned them.
Can you just imagine the chilling silence in his quarters as he addressed them? Not with anger, but with this quiet authority of absolute knowledge. To the eldest, he said, "You took my head to rob people." To the middle brother, "You took my chest to steal cattle." And to the youngest, "You took my legs for burglary." He saw everything they had done with perfect clarity, and then delivered this final, grave warning. Return the sacred power you've misused, or you will face a terrible end. The legends about his amulet's protective power are just incredible. Okay, so in one famous test, a skeptic placed one of his amulets inside the mouth of a fish and fired a gun at it, point blank. The bullet struck true, but it didn't pierce the flesh. The fish was completely unharmed, with only 2 scales falling away. I mean, that just brilliantly illustrates the belief that the sacred power he commanded was stronger than any physical force.
So that begs the question, right? How was this immense spiritual energy captured and then shared with the world? Well, the answer lies in his most famous creations, the Phra Khun Pen amulets, where divine power was consecrated into humble, sacred earth.
Now, these were not mass-produced objects. Each and every amulet was a sacred vessel.
They were created around 1917, formed from a base of sanctified earth, then mixed with powders from ancient, unearthed holy amulets, and infused with powerful, benevolent herbs. Luang Pho Hram then consecrated them for years, meditating over them until he was absolutely certain they were saturated with protective power.
What's interesting is that these amulets, they aren't ornate. They look simple, even a little coarse, because they were crafted by the devoted but unskilled hands of local villagers. But their immense value has never, ever been in their appearance. It comes from the pure, concentrated spiritual essence that's imbued within.
And this essence is known as Buddha Kun. It's the true source of the amulet's legendary abilities, the benevolent, protective, and compassionate qualities of the Buddha himself, channeled by the master's meditative power right into a physical form. It basically creates a shield of divine grace.
So, the man himself has passed on. The miracles have become the stuff of legend, but the faith he inspired, oh, that remains just as strong and as deep as the river that flows past his temple. And here it is. This is the ultimate takeaway. Modern academic analysis actually confirms what devotees have always known. The source of Luang Pho Hram's incredible power wasn't some kind of unknowable magic. No, it was something far more profound. A lifetime of immense virtue, of pure moral discipline, and a mind made completely unshakable through steadfast meditation.
So as we reflect on this epic chronicle, we're kind of left with a question, aren't we? Are the priceless amulets the true legacy of Luang Pho Hram? Or is it something less tangible but so much more enduring? A timeless example of virtue, a story of power born from peace, an unfading compass of faith that continues to guide those who are seeking shelter from the storms of life.